And we're live. So this is Danny Topping. This is the first interview for the Alpha Project. This is the starting interview. Danny, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, just start with that actually.
Yeah, my name's Danny. I've been training with T for, I think it's probably about 16, 18 months, something like that. So my reason for coming to T was based around my Taekwondo, parkour and free running that I've been doing since, I've been training Taekwondo since I was about 16, and then free running for about 5, 6 years. And basically just trying to, the better the foundation, of course, the better on top it's going to be. So that's why I've gone to T.
And I mean, what was I say? You came in for the Taekwondo, but things I guess they kind of changed over time. Didn't they? We got you on the Crucible program. Convinced you to join that. What would you say? What would you say your experience of that was? How did that change things?
Eye-opening, to say the least. Um, I think one of the many things that I didn't know I struggled with was basically, especially from a mindset point of view, of like how lost I was. So for years I kind of like felt I was just kind of like in a plateau of how I was mentally going through life. So one of the biggest, again, eye-opening areas doing the Crucible the first time round was just realizing, how lost I was and what I could change to make it better.
Yeah, I think before that you hadn't really, because whenever we first spoke about the Crucible and you'd read the copy that I'd written for it and you said, well, I don't feel lost, I feel fine. Why do you think I should do this course? And I think it was pretty much just your trust in me that made you go for it in the end up, wasn't it? It was pretty much because I said, yeah, just go for it and you'll see.
Yeah, well, I remember actually kind of like saying yes to it. It was just kind of like discussing it, and then before I knew it, I was doing it, and I was kind of like, I'm glad that I'm doing it, but I don't know how I got here.
Yeah, it was good. That's the thing. I think that there's probably a lot of people in your position where they're kind of just teetering along and they don't realize there is so much more. They don't think they ask the questions, and I guess that's what happened a little bit in the Crucible for you. What? Because we've worked a lot since then as well. There was one thing you mentioned previously, Danny, was how it changed your outlook on mental health. Could you go into that a bit for me?
Yeah, sure, yes. Well, basically, I had a pathetic look on mental health. To a degree, I didn't really believe that some things existed. I thought it was like, I don't know, maybe just people not understanding or looking for attention to some degree. And it's only since the first Crucible, uh, towards the end, when I kind of got to know the guys that were involved a little bit better, and obviously the stories that they were, finally trusting everyone to open up about, that I realized that it can affect people that you might even perceive that are like stronger than you or just better, well put together in life. Even people who have like family, businesses, basically like on the outside a lot going for them. They can still be really struggling on the inside. One of the biggest things for me, and this is something that I struggled with, this was actually the original reason that I started Taekwondo, but I had like major anger issues and I didn't really have any kind of outlet for it or anything. So from being 16 to starting the Crucible, I think I was 27, so like a year and a half ago. And it was only then, because of basically you, Shara, and Dan, that I realized that I was struggling with anger issues, and obviously that is a like mental health issue, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it more so in our one-to-one sessions afterwards. It's a manifestation of things, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's, just because, and a lot of people are under the impression that anger is something that's it's bad, and we tend to have a guilt associated. You're angry, you're guilty, you feel bad about feeling angry, but actually it's quite a natural human emotion. It's only whenever everything that happens to you is responded to with anger, then you have to start looking at why that's happening. And as you say, you didn't want to be, you didn't want to have to respond to everything with anger. You wanted to kind of have a more clear and open mind. So
books that I read during the Crucible, actually, I think it was Dale Carney. He said, on the heels of hurt, anger, and anger held in becomes hate. And I think that highlighted it perfectly for me.
Yeah, it was. We tend to have a problem with people expressing anger in the modern society, but what's actually happening is if we don't express it, if it's not kind of expressed in a healthy way, as you said, it becomes resentment. You bottle it up, and over years it does damage on the inside. So
yeah,
that was it was interesting. I kind of knew that when you started the Crucible. I just was watching it unfold. Cool. So that was a bit of a realization time then, I guess. What kind of made you go ahead and jump on this one? You probably say the same as the last one.
Yeah. It was probably because I knew how much I could build up from the first one. You know, like the first one was like being chucked in a well of knowledge, and you know, you're just trying to stay afloat. You know, that obviously you want to kind of grab for everything, but you can't. So you know, this is perfectly just a build up of basically everything that I've worked on and learned from the past year. Oh, especially a lot of it over the past like 6 months, I've kind of realized how much breaking habits and building new habits is so important, especially to me, because I've spent so many years almost like just plateauing doing the same thing. You know, so that would certainly be one of the main reasons.
I mean, so looking at this before, Danny, so even let's go right before the Crucible, even before you met me. What plans, say, did you have? What kind of ideas did you have for your future, let's say?
I think I always had the vision of teaching Taekwondo. I never realized how much it was my passion or anything like that. I never really saw a time period where I think like, right, okay, now I really need to start, and by end of this 3 years, then I need to make sure I'm actually doing what I set out to do. So I think I would have always just had the idea of like, oh, in the future kind of thing. I had like many smaller plans as well, since they've kind of like come and gone. Either lost interest or they've just not worked out. Ultimately, real future plans back then, I didn't have any.
And do you feel like that was something, like not looking forward, do you feel it was something that you wish you had done more so now? Or do you feel like things just kind of fell in the line at the right time?
Things definitely fell into line. There is a lot of things that I would have wished to happen, but I realized that I'm a better person, or I'm just in a better mental position to deal with them now. Of course, I do feel like it, regardless of how big the goal, it's always good to have something to strive towards. But I wouldn't wish anything now. I'm kind of like happy with how everything's turned out.
I will. I'll ask you maybe a bit of an awkward question now, but do you remember in the Crucible, whenever we were going through the money, the idea of money and so on, and we tend to have a negative view on money. It's all very, the devil's work and all that shit. It's the old-fashioned idea, isn't it, that money is the root of all evil. And you said, you weren't interested in money and you just want to go and live in the woods. So okay, well, why haven't you done that then? Can you tell me why what it turned out to be in the end up?
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. So obviously you were there, but during the Crucible, it basically brought to light that how much I depend on other people, or at least that I should be able to depend on other people. We went through the exercise of what kind of animal are you, and I chose hyena, and you kind of really made that reflect in like my personality and everything like that. How I want to be able to use other people for the strength and everything like that, depend on people, rely on people. So I guess from if I was like to rid my ego of everything, it would be because I depend on people more than I ever wanted to admit.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you had well, I mean, it shows the courage you had to say something like that. A lot of people won't even admit something like that. So that's great, man. So coming on to this one, you made the decision to jump on the Alpha project. You kind of says that I guess what you said before was you wanted to put everything that you'd already learned into context and kind of figure out how to push forward with it all. Where do you see yourself in a year, 3 years, 5 years? How do things pan out for you?
I think yeah, obviously taking everything into consideration with COVID and everything, as you already know, I'm doing a level 2 and a level 3 personal trainer course. So, if I could just get back into uni to start doing that, obviously that would just be great. I've already started speaking to my friend about basically a free running and parkour qualification. So, like I said, we've been kind of like teaching and training that kind of stuff for years, but to actually have the proof on paper,
Mm-hmm.
of course, would open up many doors and many new opportunities, things like that. So just to be back on track with that kind of thing, back in those kind of environments, because it's all well and good learning about things, but if you're not using it, you just kind of falls out for me.
Yeah.
So back into that environment and have the qualifications that I'm at least thinking of right now, that would be my year goal.
It's crazy because we didn't even mention this at the start, and we should have. The reason that me and you first met was actually because I had come to your class. I'd come to an adult gymnastics class, and I really wanted to learn how to backflip. Between you and Matt, he's taught me how to backflip. It took me like 6 weeks or something. It took me ages.
Yeah.
And I had a real fear going backwards because I broke my shoulder when I was younger. I messed up my pec and everything, and trying to do a backflip on solid ground, and that wasn't fun. So I had a fear built in basically, and Danny helped me overcome that through the training, how we built up to doing the backflip. The cushions helped as well. But it's cool how it's come full circle. But what I noticed then is you were a fantastic coach. You had the capacity and the ability to coach. You were really good at explaining things, and ridiculously patient. So, but also you knew when to walk away and say, "Go and figure that bit out on your own now, and then come back to me whenever." Because there was times you say, "Right, I just want you to practice that for the next 20 minutes, and then come back to me when you feel that you've got that. You feel that that's in." And I thought, fuck, this guy's a natural coach. Like, I don't know if you were ever taught how to do that, or if that was taught as part of a program before, but that kind of method of, you're creating autonomy, you're creating for me, I'm learning to trust in myself then, and I'm not dependent on being there watching me perfect.
Yeah. Well, what of that was, so Matt and I did get our qualifications towards, I think it was much after that. So we did have training within that kind of stuff, but a lot of the stuff and the methods that we came up with were just because of like the experience that we had. Of course, you do just find yourself hanging around, just trying to watch that person do that same exercise for 20 minutes. So, it wasn't ever really taught besides just between us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, as you said, there's no real need to be standing over someone who's repeating an exercise that you've taught them how to do, really. As long as they've got the foundations right, it's up to them then to kind of learn. And it was that kind of guided learning approach that I realized was a really good coaching method. We talked about it a hell of a lot in our master's degree, actually. But anyways, I think you're a natural coach, to be honest, and it's good to hear you say that you want to get into. You're going towards the personal training route. You're going towards the Taekwondo. You're moving in that direction. I think that's a great shout for you. So in the next 84 days, what is it that you feel? What do you think's coming? I mean, I've been very vague, haven't I, on what I've got you into. Basically just trusted me again, and that's fine. But what is it that you expect to happen next 84 days?
I think so. Honestly, yeah, I just want a challenge again, like the first one was. You know, the reason that I got into this again, you know, I don't want to be repeating myself, but just building on everything that I've been working on. You know, I know that that will certainly deliver and just drive me to push myself further forward. Also, just to like the first one, I guess there's a lot of things that I still want to do, still want to accomplish, aim for that I'm probably, because I don't know, maybe people haven't asked me the right questions, or you know, like you did with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm sure that I'll find something along the journey that you know I do want to follow, and very much with the first one, I kind of just went into it just again not really understanding what it was really for. You know, it was just a case of like unlocking all these kind of ideas and everything. I would like this one to also have like a side goal of basically how aesthetically I look as well.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think we tend to overlook simple things, but how you look is also a massive impact on how you feel.
Yeah,
You know, it's going to have an impact on how you perceive yourself, and people tend to overlook that very simple, very simple way of attacking things. So sometimes the most basic thing is the right thing, and for people out there who are, you're not suffering with mental health currently. We've done a hell of a lot of work to make sure that that's, you know, younger things even resolved to a high degree. So it's not that, it's just why not have more.
yeah.
And I like
Like you
that.
said in the I guess it was a saying, it's more about like what the body can do than how it looks, you know, and of course there's still a lot that I want to learn, that I need to learn, you know, kicks, tricks, that kind of thing. But where I am right now, you know, my body is certainly capable of doing what I want it to do. So it's not like I'm trying to, you know, outweigh one with the other or anything.
Mm-hmm. It's just more of a system essentially to help grow muscle and achieve the aesthetic goals as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, cool. Don't worry, you get plenty of that. You get plenty of that. So how you feeling about it all? You know, on the whole, is there anything you want to talk about before we start, or?
Probably a little bit more nervous than the first one, I must admit, because I know what you delivered with the first one, and I don't know. I feel like you've only learnt more since, so you probably want to chuck us a little bit more in the deep end than you know.
Absolutely. I feel like the Crucible was a great course. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was right in the sense that what I was trying to do with Crucible at the time was create an awareness, I guess, of all these concepts and all these things that I'd learned from my own experience and from reading and from coaching for the last 10 years. So I wanted to share basically these lessons. But I realized reflecting on it now, which is why I've renamed this and changed everything about it. Because although some of the lessons are the same, some of the technicality stuff is the same. I've gone, I guess, much deeper, and it has much more direction. So there is a purpose, whereas before there was a lot of good content, and the purpose was kind of vague. You know, get better,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know, roughly speaking. And this one has a hell of a lot more focus in it. And you'll get to see that, and you'll get to see how that there's more of a template, there's more of a structure, there's more of something that you can go to every single day, and that can be your process of basically how to live, how to think. So I was teaching people, I guess, in the Crucible what to think, or how to ask questions more so than anything else. And this one's a little bit more, as I say, a bit more about answers.
Okay.
Thanks for the interview, man. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. Both of them, can't wait to see how we get on. Danny will be doing an update every day as a little follow along how we go through through the project, and keep you all up to date with what we're doing. So, thanks a million, Danny. See you soon.